Good evening and welcome to the September 10th, 2025 edition of the Willits City Council. We're glad you're here. The seats are full. Obviously you have something to say and you're gonna have time to say it. But we're gonna start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm gonna ask my very, very good friend Tim to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag orchestra.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Councilmember Burton?
Yes.
Gonzalez?
Present.
Stransky?
Yes.
Alaniz?
Here.
Almond?
Here.
The City Council welcomes input from the audience. If there is a matter of business on the agenda that you are interested in, you may address the council when the matter is considered. If you wish to speak on a matter that is not on the agenda, you may do so at this time. In order for everyone to be heard, please limit your comments to 3 minutes per person. The Brown Act regulations do not allow action to be taken on audience comments in which the subject is not listed on the agenda. Members of the public are asked to observe the rules of decorum. While the City Council welcomes public criticism of policies, procedures, programs, or services of the agency, behavior that disrupts, disturbs, impedes, or renders infeasible the orderly conduct of the meeting, and that includes, but is not limited to, the use of profanity, slurs, yelling from the audience, threatening remarks, physically threatening conduct, or physical or verbal displays of disrespect will not be tolerated, and the individual will be removed immediately.
All right, good evening. And the exception to what our city clerk just read is if you have a busy schedule tonight and you have to be somewhere else and you're waiting to talk on a specific subject, you're welcome to, after we do the other public comment, you're welcome to tell us your comments now if you have to get out of here for childcare or whatever, employment, whatever. So, with that being said, is there anybody who would like to speak on anything which is not on the agenda? By all means, welcome.
Hello, my name is Elise Cox, and can you hear me? Am I?
Not really.
I don't know if this is this working?
It's not a microphone, it's for the TV land.
Oh, sorry, okay.
But it's Elise Cox?
Elise Cox, and I started publishing a news site called Mendo Local News. I had a question, it was actually something that some of the readers were asking me. The assistant city manager, like what is her status? Is she on sick leave? Is she using, basically, is she using up her leave? What is the contract that was signed? I believe it's not signed in the, if you go back over the agendas, but from last year, is that in force? Was it retroactive? This is a contract with the 4% COLA. If that position was terminated due to a reduction in force, what would the impact be in terms of that contract if she retired or if she was going to continue to work? So there was, I had actually emailed this to the mayor and the city clerk because I had these questions and I thought, well, maybe they could be put on the agenda, but they're not. So it's all about, and this is questions that were from the public. There were some of the people who were asking the questions didn't want to come forward themselves, and they seemed to be valid questions to me as a journalist. So I know you can't answer, but maybe you can provide an answer at the next meeting when I believe you'll be discussing the response to the grand jury. So that this would be separate from the response to the grand jury report, but these are questions that I received as a journalist and that were asked by the public. And some of those people didn't want to come forward. Okay.
All right, Elise, just to let you know, we're going to answer that question later in the first question later in the in the meeting. I think the city council or the city manager is going to have that. Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who would like to have a 3-minute comment on anything which is not on the agenda? Okay. Is there anybody? Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. Actually,
we're glad you're here. Thank you. Wait till you're up here.
Yeah. it doesn't actually work, so.
Well, it does for the TV.
Oh, it
so-
does for
Yes.
Hi, everybody. So I don't see it on here. I read a little article, something about, hi everyone, I'm Nick Johnson. I run a little community space in Ukiah, but I'm a Willits High School graduate and love this town dearly. But I heard a little rumor about a possible entertainment district going on Main Street, from commercial to, I don't exactly remember where. Is that on the agenda and am I not seeing it? Or is this, is this next week's agenda item?
So I'll help you.
Huh?
So, Nick,
Yes.
we're glad you're here, and I'm glad you graduated from Willits High School. We're glad you're here.
Yes.
The entertainment zone is going to be on next agenda, which is 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay.
And we don't know the specific location yet because that's going to be a big part of the
it's
discussion.
All in the discussion.
So I hope you're going to be here in 2 weeks.
So I'm 2 weeks early.
Yes.
Well, we're glad you're here anyway, but
I got a
yes.
little excited. I'm
Okay.
not gonna lie.
Do you support it?
We're gonna find out in 2 weeks.
Okay, all right.
So be here in 2 weeks. Let's talk
Okay.
about it.
All right, Nick Johnson, thank you very
everyone.
much. Okay.
Bye everyone. I'll see you in 2
A
weeks.
TV star. Is there anybody else who would like to comment on any item which is not on the agenda? Okay, is there, see you in 2 weeks. Is there anybody who would like to comment on any item which is on the agenda, but you have to get out of here? Okay, I'm going to close public comment. We're going to go to enactment of ordinances, and there's no ordinances, but there will be in 2 weeks when we talk about it. The consent calendar, which is a city council meeting minutes.
I move the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Okay, if we have a motion and a second to approve the consent, or the minutes, is there anybody who would like to comment on the consent, on the minutes of the August 27th meeting? Hearing none, those public comments are closed. What? Okay, public comments are closed.
Councilmember Burton.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Strunsky.
Yes.
Alaniz.
Aye.
Almond.
Aye. So we have no commissions and agency and authority reports. We're going to go straight to the city manager report. We're racking through this, I gotta say.
Mr. Mayor, Council. The first announcement is regarding Kathy Moorhead, the Assistant City Manager. We're proud to recognize her 20 years of service to the City of Willits and announce that she's retiring, and Monday, September 15th will be her last day. So we're thankful for 2 decades of work here at the city, and we wish her the best in the next chapter of her life.
Anything else? City manager report?
The other thing is recently Jim Shields, the Laytonville County Water District General Manager, and the editor and the long time, I mean, he's been around there a long time for that community. He passed away last week, a couple days before we were going to have a meeting with the State Water Board on their wastewater project, so it was unexpected, but we send our condolences and our deepest sympathies to his family and to the community of Laytonville. There'll be more to come on that.
All right. Thank you very much. And there will be more to come on Kathy Moorhead's retirement because this was a sudden thing and she is retiring. And certainly we as a city of Willits appreciate the assistant city manager and what she's done, but that will come at a later date.
Correct.
You'll have some more commemorative
Yes.
thing to supply, because she filled a lot of roles for the city over the years, and she deserves a good pat on the back for her
Agreed.
efforts.
Agreed. And as far as Jim Shields goes, if you're not aware, Jim Shields was basically the nuts and bolts of the Laytonville Water District. And when an organization loses the primary leader of a water district that supplies water to thousands of people, that's an integral, that is very important to all of us. So we're working with others to see what's going to happen on that one. Any other city manager?
That's all I got.
All right, we're going to go to department Any comment on the city manager's report? Public comment? Okay, we'll go to department recommendations and action items. And number 9 is an A as an Adam. The second discussion regarding the FAA order to comply Chapter 2.40 Airport amending Willits Municipal Code 2.40.030 and 2.40.040 entitled Regulations for Use and Conduct Generally.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council. Hello, everyone. Ken O'Shea for the City of Willits. Municipal Airport operations for Oscar 28. I'm returning to you as requested. The last time we met on I believe it was August 13th, we had an initial discussion regarding some potential revisions to the existing city ordinances. And at the direction of council, I kind of trimmed things down a bit. I took out any additional proposed language and took it back to what was ordered by the FAA director. So that's provided to you in your packet. You can see a lot of material's been slashed. I hope that that's a little more palatable. I took it a little further and reached out to the tenants. We had an additional meeting regarding this matter solely. So I put it out to all the tenants who hadn't had a chance to weigh in yet and give their input or ask questions. And we went over the proposed ordinance, and they agreed to accept it.
Okay.
I wouldn't say support necessarily, that's kind of a strong word, but they agreed that it was also palatable as well. So I think our next steps are for me to request that we put this on the agenda for the next council meeting for the first reading of the ordinance as you see in your packet.
So just to be clear, what shows up in red and is lined out in red, the red was added and then you are removing it.
Yeah.
But what we saw, I didn't go back and compare it, but.
Right.
But that was what was going to be added,
That was potentially on the table for discussion or
B, C,
adoption,
D,
depending
yeah,
on
okay.
the consensus of the council.
Yeah.
This should make the FAA happy.
Correct, sir.
So for the public's edification, hold on one second here, is there was a month ago, there was a proposed ordinance that was going to impose very strict fees and fines and penalties for misdemeanor violations at the airport, and now we've lessened those fees and penalties.
Not so much the fees and penalties, but we've narrowed the language down to only be in alignment with what the county has at their airport facilities.
Okay.
What was basically ordered by the FAA director without adding anything in addition.
Great. Council, anything?
Do we want to modify the fees a little, the fines on that a little bit?
In this, we updated the language to the current misdemeanor standards.
All right. So we're not anything above what a normal fine would be. We're right in par with the state.
No, sir. And that's going to be, it's going to take some pretty extreme situation to create a violation of that nature.
I know we talked about before about giving warnings before any kind of violation.
From what I saw with the other ordinances similar to this in place in other municipalities and in most of our own code, no trespassing signs are sufficient. So if you enter the airport property and pass a no trespassing sign, you've been put on notice at that point that you're not to be there.
Okay.
Then it would be up to the discretion of the officer responding if they felt
100%. This
mitigating
isn't something to be
circumstances.
policed by the tenants. This is something for city representatives and police officers to enforce.
Okay. All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you very much. Good presentation last month. Good presentation today.
Appreciate it.
Any public comment on the second discussion regarding the proposed municipal code changes? Good evening and welcome.
Yep, Manning, another tenant. If we have to change verbiage, then yes, we are in agreement that the minimal changes are acceptable. We still strongly feel that the examples of the single complaint individual are just not adequate to merit a change in all of this stuff, especially in light of, recent examples of personal attacks on individuals in the city and individuals at the airport. But if we do have to change verbiage, we've all kind of agreed that, this is what's got to be.
Well, I think we boiled it down to what is acceptable to the FAA.
Yeah. But I think still the FAA needs to be fully informed, as to that we still don't feel that there's violations to the Part 16 complaints.
Right.
And we want to make sure that the FAA is fully informed that we are dealing with a single individual that is taking very strategic pictures and presenting information in a very manipulative manner that is not, representative of, of the truth.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here twice.
Good to have on the record.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else who would like to comment on this agenda item? Hearing none, I'll close comment, and there's no action going to be taken tonight because we're going to take action in 2 weeks.
It doesn't, I think it might require action to have it put on the agenda for 2 weeks.
Yes.
2 weeks will be the first reading of the ordinance.
Okay.
Following today's meeting, or tonight's meeting rather, we have to post it for 10 days to provide public
Right.
notice. And we invite public comment at the next meeting regarding this matter.
All right. So-
And then the next meeting after that would be for potential adoption if that's.
So if there's any public comment on TV or in the crowd, you're welcome to do it in 2 weeks. And then at the first meeting in October is when we'll be voting on this ordinance. Thank you very much. Moving on to a very exciting item, the ultraviolet disinfection system at the PDDC control panel upgrade at the Willits wastewater treatment plant. And Walter Colon.
It is exciting, see? Thank you.
I get it.
This is a replacement of aging system. The control panel is failing. It's a system that we're very invested in right now. It controls all the UV disinfecting. One good thing about this and continuing with the system is we were approached by the city of Petaluma, who runs a similar system and is doing a large upgrade. And we actually got 12 of their modules for our system for free. And each of those modules of the 12 we got are worth about $10,000. So we're going to be updating the controls and updating the modules for free. So that was a win-win on this situation.
So this is an $85,079 item. Are we assured that the enterprise fund is going to be able to cover this?
Yes, this was something that was budgeted in CIP from last year yet and everything.
So this was
Yes.
in the 24-25 budget?
Yes,
All right.
and 25-26 it was carried over, yes,
Very
correct.
good. Anything more?
No, like I said,
All right,
it's...
council?
This was a new system when the plant was upgraded, right?
In 2010, yes, correct. Yeah.
Has it been replaced since then?
No, this is the first time.
So this is a 15-year ultraviolet system that hasn't been replaced?
Correct.
Well, okay.
It's has passed its lifespan. It's done well. Yes.
Haven't we all? Anybody else?
As a capital improvement project, this falls under the capability of being reimbursed with the 36% coming from
Yes.
Good Trails, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't we need an agreement to make that happen?
Yes, we do, and we're behind that. We're getting our agreement in place.
Okay, to be clear, the old agreement ended in July.
Correct.
All right, and to remind everybody,
Yeah.
it was after an 8-year
Yeah.
legal struggle
Yes.
that cost the city a lot of money,
Yes.
and we're still not ready to do it.
No, we have an outside utilities attorney looking at it right now. Jim Lance has looked at it, and they're working on it right now. They're just trying to. We had a retirement of one of the attorneys, and we have a new attorney assigned to it. Yes.
So once the agreement is signed, we'll be able to get that percentage, but.
Correct.
Okay, how long does this project take to actually take place? Like, if you're going to do it, when would it be taking place?
They're scheduled for October if we approve this, and it'll weeks worth of time to work on it.
Is it the type of thing that's weather related, that we have to do it before December?
No, it is not.
Okay. Is there any specific reason why we cannot wait until after the budget is passed?
It's not in good condition. It's failing. It's not, the controls are failing and they're not able to turn on or record some of their data that we need to turn into the state.
Got it.
Yeah, so it's actually having, it's having operational problems right now.
Thank you.
And the maintenance and upgrade of the plant to be in compliance does, we notify, but we don't have to get consent to make those improvements.
You mean with Brook Trails?
Right.
Okay.
My understanding.
Okay, so this is not listed as an action item.
It isn't?
It is, it's got
Yeah, it's got a resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry, action item. Okay, I apologize. Okay. So, is there any public comment on the ultraviolet disinfectant system for the wastewater treatment plant? Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council, Tamara Alaniz, Brook Trails General Manager, and 145 Tuttle. With regard to Councilman Burton's statement about notification, Brook Trails does need to be notified ahead of time. As a couple of you were on the council last year when we still had the agreement in place, and I came to the council when the wastewater clarifier was on the agenda here. And we had not been notified of the wastewater clarifier project. However, a couple days before this council meeting to hear the project, Mr. Colon got in touch with me in Brook Trails, and I said, this is actually a great opportunity for us as partners in our settlement agreement to establish a process to review, accept, approve, and reimburse the city from Brook Trails for 36% of capital improvement projects. It was interim city manager Rod Wilburn and I and Jim Lance and former city manager who had gotten the last settlement agreement extension in place, which was a very cooperative and good process. But it was city manager Wilburn who said, let's get a process in place in the settlement agreement so that in the future, when the city needs to come to Brook Trails to ask for money for its capital improvement projects, it's not coming after the fact, with Brook Trails not having the opportunity to review it as is required in the settlement agreement. So, as far as the UV replacement panel is concerned, I did review the project scope. We were notified that it was going to be on this agenda. We don't have an agreement in place that would establish that process, so I certainly don't want to dispute the process that doesn't exist since we don't have this agreement. However, this is definitely a capital improvement project. The gift from the city of Petaluma of your UV components was incredible. It's important to ensure that you have integrated those properly into your system for your reporting and for your monitoring. Not everything that you monitor there gets reported to the state, but everything that you monitor there is important to this town and how you run that plant. So I don't have an agreement in place to say to you this evening that Brook Trails agrees that the UV disinfection panel replacement is a capital improvement project and that we can approve a 36% cost share. However, I would love to get that going, so that's why I started the process back, I think, in November of last year. There are drafts out there. I'm happy to meet with the committee or staff again to move this forward. I understand that there's an outside counsel. I know that you guys do use outside counsel for things, and city council, legal counsel, Jim Lance is very familiar with the project and the process that you all went through with Brook Trails before I moved here and before I worked for Brook Trails. And So I don't want that to come back. I'd like to have an agreement in place. And I'd like to have the continuation of our good relationship and working together on what's important to my town as well. So I make no bones about my loyalties. My loyalties are to my town and to my board and to my Lord. So please feel free, reach out, ask me questions. Everybody has my number and email address, and I'd love to move forward with this process.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Since you said, please ask you questions.
Yes.
This sounds like a very timely issue that we need to do.
The timeliness has expired. We're past timely.
I get it. So if you have my promise that we will get going on the agreement, but we need to move forward on a UV replacement, would that satisfy your need?
It's not for me to decide.
I understand
answer to a board.
But you are a water person. I know you very well. I know you when you're not standing in this room.
Do I believe that it is right and prudent to move this project forward and have the concept in my mind that I would say to my board, yes, we should pay this fair share once we have an agreement in place? Yes.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And let me just say, I didn't want to bring this up. I thought we were going to be able to work through this with staff. I thought we were going to get through this, and here we are, and it came up.
We're going to get going on it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to have a public comment on this issue? Going once, going twice, public comments closed. To the council.
I'd like to move that we approve the contract by Yola Water Technologies and execute the attached resolution. And thank you, Tamara. I mean, I know you appreciate the need for something like this, and I would like to see this agreement between us.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second.
Yes.
Any comment? To the clerk.
Councilmember Burton.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Stransky.
Yes.
Alaniz.
Aye.
Allman.
Aye. All right, item number 9, C as in Charles, zoning text and map agreements to implement 2024 general plan land use element update. Presenting member is Dusty Dooley, Community Development Director.
Thanks for getting up without even having to be asked. Good evening, Mayor Allman, council members, Dusty Dooley, your Community Development Director. I got this eye thing going on. It was not from somebody who was opposed to rezoning their property. I was told that I have a sty, maybe, possibly, and to put a warm compress on it. So anyways, a little bit annoying. I apologize. Feel free to stare at it. I don't care. Let's see here. So gave the full presentation last time. Again, this is, you have the opportunity to consider adoption of the 2 ordinances in front of you tonight. One to modify city code to create the mixed-use zoning districts, as well as to make changes to off-street parking standards, essentially in the downtown area, create the new formula-based business restriction in the mixed-use zoning, as well as create the new nano brewery. And then the other ordinance is to do a comprehensive update to the city zoning map. And again, this is a follow-up to the land use element update and the general plan land use diagram that was previously approved. So we I do want to note that we received one letter on this matter from Tim and Gloria Westby. My understanding is that council received that. I've talked to both Tim and Gloria, and I think they're here tonight and certainly can speak to it, but I believe there was just a little bit of confusion. Tonight's action does not affect their property. They're currently zoned heavy industrial and remained heavy industrial. Had discussions with Gloria, when we were going through the land use element update, originally we had recommended or proposed to change the general plan designation and zoning to residential, but upon objected by the property owner, we withdrew that. And so subsequently, we're not looking to change the zoning at this time because they opted out when we did the general plan land use designation change. And the reason they didn't receive any notice is because we're not proposing any changes to their property. And there was some concerns about some potential Caltrans improvements that was noted in the letter. And again, I'll let them speak to that later if they want to. I'm not going to go through the full presentation again.
You know what, if you could slowly go over it, because there's people here tonight that were not here last time.
Okay.
Thank you.
I was going to say, unless the mayor told me otherwise, so there we go. So I mentioned earlier, just gave a very general overview of what we're trying to accomplish with the perspective to ordinances in front of the council tonight. Again, this is all a follow-up to the 2024 general plan land use element that was updated back in October of last year. We're looking to create 2 new zoning districts, the Main Street mixed use, which would essentially be applied to the downtown area, those commercial lots that front Main Street, as well as a general mixed use district that could be applied per its intention in different areas throughout the city. We're trying to, recognizing that we have a number of vacant buildings in the downtown area. One of the biggest issues is that those buildings are not in a condition where they can be rented out. So often it's less an issue of demand and more an issue of the conditions of the building. But there are, even when we do have some buildings that are essentially turnkey ready, we've run into the issue at times where businesses look to establish a new business in a building that's been vacant for some time, and then they're required to meet the off-street parking standards. But the reality is a lot of those properties don't have an opportunity to provide off-street parking, and that the process you have to go to get a variance from council can be problematic in new businesses going in. So in light of that, staff has recommended special off-street parking standards to eliminate the need for providing those off-street parking standards. Also with the mixed-use zoning district, it creates the opportunity to create live-work units. We certainly want to maintain the commercial frontage at the back of sidewalk, but allow for the flexibility to create a residential unit above or behind the building. And so maybe by having the opportunity to both live and establish your business, they become more attractive to the existing owners or to someone that's looking to purchase it. But again, one of the main issues I want to articulate is that while these are seen by staff to be helpful in promoting businesses in downtown, one of the key issues continues to be the fact that a lot of these buildings are in a state of disrepair, and even if someone wants to come in for a business license, because of their conditions, they're not suitable to legally establish a business in them. So, everybody kind of knows about, the one property here on the corner, but to some degree that plays out with many of the other vacant structures in the city as well. Then, per the land use element update, there was a policy to limit formula-based business or franchise business in the downtown area. So we have language that was introduced at the last meeting in the ordinance, and that is again up for adoption tonight, that would require a formula-based business, essentially a business that has 10 or more of the same. So obviously like the McDonald's of the world would fall under that, and they would have to get a special use permit from the city council to establish in the downtown district. And then we're going to be presenting a comprehensive update to the zoning map. And this is something that hasn't happened since at least 1992. And the changes essentially fall under 3 different categories. Again, this played out and was resulted from interactions with over 100 property owners, probably, or close to 100 property owners when we went through the general plan designation change. And they're either be done because they were requested by the property owner, and could be analyzed under the EIR and budget that was created by this project. By the way, that general plan amendment process was funded by 3 different grants. Or it's what most of them are what we're calling cleanup changes, where the long-standing land use didn't match with the zoning. So for instance, if you had a single-family home in a commercial zoning district, your home was considered a legal non-conforming use, absolutely have all rights to use it as a residence. But if it ever burned down, you only have 1 year to come in for a building permit and reestablish that non-conforming use. And from staff's perspective, essentially what the city's doing by keeping that as a commercial zoning district is saying we want to phase out the residential use and see commercial uses going there. There was nobody on staff or council that at the time that supported that, and so we were able to go up through this cleanup process and match up at the time the general plan designation, now the corresponding zoning with the long-standing land use. And the benefits that has been explained and understood by staff is if, again, going back to that example of the single-family home in a commercial zoning district, if you wanted to borrow equity against your property, that could become problematic if it was considered a non-conforming use. If you were trying to sell your property, the purchaser may struggle to obtain a standard conventional loan because of that non-conforming status. Also, if you wanted to add more than 25% of the value of your home, do like an addition onto it, our code requires you to get a special use permit, which might be supported, but then it becomes a process and something you have to pay for. So we had that type of conversation with, again, something like 100 property owners, and the vast majority of them said, that sounds great, thank you. There was a handful of people who understood that and for other reasons chose to opt out of that when we were going through the general plan land use element update, and staff was able to honor those requests. And so again, we're following through on the zoning code changes that with those property owners that supported the general plan designation changes. Okay, that was a lot for that slide. There's like 60 more. I think I kind of touched on this. This is just going into some of the background of all the work that was done and the steps taken to do the general plan land use element update. We had websites, open houses, surveys, WebGIS applications. For tonight's meeting, just wanted to note the public notice that went out. So legally, actually all we have to do is provide notice in the newspaper at least 20 days prior to tonight's meeting. Obviously, that's not enough, common sense wise. We did notice it twice in the paper though, and then we had letters that went out to individual property owners. And I came to understand that at least some property owners didn't receive this notice until the day of or even maybe the day after the last hearing. So some folks may have only gotten 13 or 14 days notice ahead of this meeting. Other than, I think, maybe 6 or 7 property owners that are noted in the staff report, these notices did go out to these property owners as part of the general plan land use designation. So these discussions have been happening for some time with other property owners, but at least for those individual ones, we may have only been able to provide something like 13 or 14 days notice. But legal notice has been established. This is showing the cover of the general plan land use element and the general plan land use map that was previously adopted. And then all I'm just trying to showcase in this slide is that there's 2 different maps, the general plan land use map that was previously adopted, and then the zoning map that's up for potential consideration of adoption tonight. And so, for example, your general plan map may identify a general plan designation of industrial general, but then your zoning map's going to decide or label it as, consistent with that umbrella of industrial general. You could be heavy industrial, light industrial, industrial part. Your general plan designation may be commercial general, but are you community commercial, are you heavy commercial? So there's sort of the umbrella of the general plan designation that gives you that sort of that policy intent direction, and then there's the zoning district that really is where the rubber hits the road and prescribes, the allowed land uses within the zoning, the setbacks, parking standards, height limitations. It gets into those details to support the intent of the general plan designation. At the last meeting, council had requested a little bit more information specifically on the properties that were noted in the staff report. And again, why they were pulled out is staff is recommending that their zonings be changed to be consistent with their general plan designations, but these inconsistencies existed going back to at least 1992. They weren't created as part of or affected by the land use element update last year. So these properties include, that is the Lenore Street Apartments on Valley. To the north is Rec Grove Park. And then we have a number of duplex apartment complexes off of Madden Street that are being recommended to go to the R2 medium density zoning district consistent with their general plan designation. Then we have a property here that has multiple residents on it. It was previously zoned public facility, and I was led that it might have been the former, help me out, Bruce, was it the AT&T?
Oh, I think it was a former telephone building.
Right, okay, so that's our assumption as to why it was zoned public facility.
Old house.
Yeah.
Their house.
So looking to match the zoning with the current land use and go to the residential zoning designation. And then these properties here, the northwest off of Sherwood Road, we're recommending those go to residential estates from the R1 zoning designation to be consistent with the general plan designation. This is on the south side of Franklin Avenue. A portion of this property is still zoned residential. The rest of it's industrial. It's the storage buildings there. And so we're recommending that the entire property be zoned industrial and consistent with the general plan designation. And then on the right there, that's the apartments there at the end of Holly Street. I forget the name of the apartment complex, but they have a general plan designation of residential medium density, and the single family residence zone doesn't match that or the land use. And so we're recommending, again, these are all cleanup zonings that I was mentioning earlier. So we're looking to rezone that to R2 as part of the zoning map update tonight. This is just to note that we are tearing off of the environmental impact report that was previously prepared for the land use element update that considered all the changes that and analyzed that we're completing tonight. I spoke to that earlier. I spoke to the fact that we're also looking at establishing the 2 mixed-use zoning districts tonight. This is the intention behind them. How am I doing, Mayor? Keep
You're
going.
doing fine.
Okay.
So we're going to open up the public comment when you're done.
Yeah, I mean, I can be done.
All right. All right, so we welcome up to 3-minute comment on what was presented and what is in front of the council tonight. By all means, Helen.
Ellen Sims. So you're creating 2 new zoning phases here. How will that affect the existing tenants in the zone that will be changed? And will there be a new permit schedule for these new zones, or will you just have to adopt new changes to the permit schedule as people come into those zones for the first time?
So I want to answer just so I understand, because I could be mistaken. Okay, Dusty? It will not affect any business or person who's living there now or business is operating now. If it changes zoning, it will affect it if there's a real estate transaction and it changes hands. What was your next question?
If there's going to have to be any new permitting rules, or if you're just going to adopt changes to the existing permits for new people who move into those newly zoned
For new
areas.
people, they would have to go through they would have to apply for the new zoning process. Is that correct?
Yeah, once the new zoning designations take effect, which potentially could be 30 days after tonight's meeting if approved by council, they would be subject to those new regulations. And I can pull up the slide, if it's helpful, but right now, like let's take downtown, for instance, that those properties have the community commercial zoning on them, and they don't allow residential by right. And so what we've done in creating the new mixed zoning districts is we're continuing to allow all those commercial uses with the exception of crematories and moratorium services. We've added some additional commercial uses to the permitted by right, and then we've also allowed residential uses by right, both above and behind it. So the feeling I've got, or in the discussions I've had with the property owners in the business community in downtown, is they're appreciative of it because it's not only allowing them to continue to do what they're doing, but it's bringing in more opportunities for a variety of commercial and now residential uses as well.
So it'll be newly developed permits for these. Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Those will be uses by right, not by conditional use permit.
What does that mean?
That means they would come in, get their application, and Dusty's office would process that, as opposed to if I wanted to have a bakery where I lived up above, the way it stands now, they would have to come here and they'd have to do a conditional use permit and we'd have to vote on it. So it makes it easier. Right?
We're trying to take council and government out and go to the lower step.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Helen. Who else would like to comment? Gloria, by all means, we're glad you're here.
Hi, I'm Gloria Westby, and I was going to be talking about our rezoning on our property. Hello, Mayor. Hello, Board.
Good evening.
I am the resident of 350 Foster Lane, parcel number 00611020000. I am here to formally object to the proposed rezoning of our property of residential industrial non-conforming to industrial only. I was not notified of the July 23rd meeting or August 26th meeting where our property was discussed. I did not receive any written or verbal notice that my property would be discussed. In fact, I have always opposed to this rezoning efforts that would eliminate my residential rights. During the meeting, Dusty was asked by the mayor if the residents were notified, and he responded yes. Regarding our property, our parcel, I did email Dusty to clarify the opposition. He later called me and said that they are not going to be rezoning our property. Since I had previously told him when I called last year, when we received the letter back in 2004. He said that we could still live there, rebuild within the year, add small additions, no permits, approvals, or variances were required, and he did not respond to me back on email. Although I did talk to him today, and he said that he was going to be sending me an email. If this rezoning goes through, we are at risk of losing our grandfathered residential status, as my home will now be rezoned as industrial only. Will no longer be protected since the council wants to strip the residential industrial non-conforming to just industrial. The city would have, at further discretion, they could force us out of our home, as it would be industrial only zone. Should our home be damaged, it's highly unlikely we would be able to rebuild, and it's doubtful that we'd be able to keep and or insure it. Additionally, I would lose the right to a fair compensation if the city moves forward regarding the roundabout project. It also discusses at previous council meetings on the 23rd and August 27th regarding the Gloucester Lane Highway 20 roundabout. It appears that the rezoning is a strategic move to devalue our property before a potential eminent domain action. That is not just unfair, it's unethical. Although just a piece of property to the council, this is our home, a home that we've poured our heart and soul into. This matter has caused both my husband and I an amount of heartache. We spent a lot of time worrying what is going to happen to our home. Yeah. Sorry. Regarding this whole matter, it's done a wonder on me personally, with a lot of depression and stuff. But at this time, I respectfully ask that the council to pause rezoning process, correct public record to reflect the true and accurate facts, specifically that I were not provided with notice, nor did we ever agree to the approved rezoning, and preserve our residential rights. Provide written confirmation of our zoning status and protections. I reserve all the legal rights and remedies under California law. I ask that this statement be entered into public record.
Thank you. Thank you.
Question for Jim. I had a concern about the public notification with the letters coming out after the last council meeting.
Right.
Dusty saying that that was a backup notification, that the legal notification was the publication in the newspaper. Is that your interpretation of the statute as well in terms of public notification? Proper notification?
I'm not certain about that, but my understanding from an email communication that Dusty, you and I shared in was that we were going to extend notice, extend the hearing.
Well, that's what I thought sort of too, but tonight doesn't seem to be it's moving, it's asking to move the ball to the next step is the way I'm interpreting tonight's.
Correct, and my expectation was that we weren't taking such action tonight. It was going to be postponed to ensure that there was proper notice and view of some of the objections.
Okay.
Sure.
And again, clarification, Dusty, based on my conversation with you earlier and this, their property is not being rezoned. Is that correct?
No, it's not being proposed to be rezoned tonight, and it wasn't proposed to be rezoned when we brought it in front of council for the general plan change. We did, when we first wrote letters to property owners, we identified Tim and Gloria's parcel as having a land use that was inconsistent with the zoning, again, single-family home on heavy industrial. Gloria did a good job of contacting staff to let us know they were not interested in moving forward with that, even though they understood that they had a legal non-conforming use. And so based on that objection, we did not carry that forward as part of the land use element update.
And so
and therefore we're not carrying it forward either tonight.
Wise, their property is not being rezoned.
Right.
Make it in our minutes.
Yeah, and I heard, and Gloria had mentioned this in the phone call, I think it was last week, and then again tonight I heard it that the property zoning is both residential and industrial, and on the city's adopted zoning map, that it doesn't show that. It shows the entire property's heavy industrial. I know the assessor's office has, this may be where the confusion's coming from. I don't know for sure. And I'm happy to look at any, paperwork or any other information, but based on the information that's available to staff, the entire property is zoned industrial. But I know oftentimes, and this comes up with, no offense, Tom, with realtors, but they'll pull the report from the assessor's office, and they have their own nomenclature codes, and they'll actually show, regardless of what the city zoning is, they'll have code for the actual land use activity. So regardless if it's industrial, commercial, if there's a residence on it, they'll code it as such for the benefit of assessing the property value. And oftentimes that can get confused for the zoning by the city. I don't know if that's the case here, but.
Well, to the issue of a fire on the property or catastrophic something happening to the structure, the house. to that issue of residential on industrial property, is there a way to reassure that landowner, or are they correct in assuming that that kind of an impact would preclude, and with that zoning, it would preclude them from putting a single-family residence back on the property?
So in this situation where you have a single family, a legal established single family home on a heavy industrial lot, it's considered a legal non-conforming use. And if there's an act of God such as a fire, the city code allows you to reestablish that non-conforming use, provided you move forward towards reestablishing it within a year. So for example, if you came in within a year to get a building permit, that would allow you to reestablish the single-family home, including any non-conforming status. So if it was right on the property line, you could rebuild it right back on the property line.
Even though the building didn't happen in that 12 months, as long as they applied for the building permit in the 12 months?
Yeah, they don't have to finish the building in 12 months. They just need to start pursuing that rebuild.
So,
now, 2 years later, they come in for a building permit. We're telling them, I'm sorry, you're going to have to rezone your property in order to establish.
Isn't that what happened next door here? John's place?
Yeah, I guess so.
And
I don't remember what was there and what was not.
Well, no, there was, I mean, it was a bar and a restaurant with residential upstairs.
And on the side.
And they didn't.
Yeah, so there was non-conforming elements to it because it was zoned commercial, and they lose that non-conforming status.
And they didn't apply for a building permit within a year, and then it cobbled the whole thing up.
So Dusty, basically, again, that we kind of discussed on the record, that if there was a fire or something happened, they could build back the way they had it as long as they get that building permit within a year. And I guess the only issue would be if they needed, if down the road they needed financing or something and their lender said, hey, your zoning is messed up, they come back to us a year from now and say, we want to be residential, or the next property owner wants to be, they would have to pay all the fees associated with that, because at that point we're done with it. And that's with that understanding of the current property owners. Is that correct? Okay. So it sounds like you would be the same as long as you can.
Is there something magical about the year as opposed to 2 years or 5 years? Is that just a city number?
I mean, that's the typical time period that I see in other jurisdictions, including our code. I can't give you a definitive answer, but I'm not aware that the city could change that to 2 years.
Or could they come and ask us to waive it if there was some mitigating circumstance, as long as they said, hey, can we?
I'm not sure what that process would be. I mean, staff's not here to count the days, and if you come in here, we're going to try to be flexible on that. But I'm not sure if there's a process because of the hardship, that they couldn't request to.
It's a difference. It's one thing to have a right, and it's another to request forgiveness or something. I mean, I think right now they have a right
But coming to the council for a variance would always be an option too.
I understand that, but it's a lot.
I get it. I mean, if it's a city code, we could change it to 2 year. We have the ability. All right, is there anybody else who would like to comment on this item? A lot of folks are here. You came here for the item. I know you did. You did not come here for the next item.
In light of our conversation, Mayor, do we need to postpone this?
I'm sorry?
In light of our conversation regarding.
Well, hold on. I'm having public comment, and I'm going to close public comment. Is there a public comment? And then we'll get on to that. Tom,
man. When a family has a circumstance like that, to make them have to do something within a certain time period is her losing a right that she has a right to. And so somehow they need to be able to take care of their grandma, get another dog, whatever it's going to take to make her happy. And I'm kind of voting with Bruce's ideas right here.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom. Is there anybody else who would like to comment on this? We're about to close public comment. Public comment's closed. All right, Jerry, go ahead.
No, the reason I asked at that point is that I thought it might be moot. We could continue and have more public comment if we had to extend it to the next meeting or something.
Yeah, we now have a record that some people apparently didn't get notice until the day of the last council meeting or the day after. And then a lady just testified that she didn't receive written notice at all. And if there's no consequence to putting this matter off to the next council meeting to ensure that everyone has gotten adequate notice and give us time to look into the possibility of providing a 2-year window instead of a 1-year window. So when this came on at our next meeting, we could enlarge that period to a 2-year period, and by then we know we've more than satisfied the noticing requirements.
Thank you. And so I'm going to go ahead and make the decision that this will be on the next council agenda, and make sure that all the potential involved people get notification if they haven't already. Go ahead, Dusty.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So no problem from the staff level, and I appreciate you continue it to a date certain, because now I don't have to spend more money renoticing it in the paper. Just to clarify, though, if council wants to further amend code for the non-conforming use and go from 1 year to 2 year, I don't know if that's what our city attorney was required. We did not notice that. That would interrupt this process. So if that's council's direction to consider that, let's have my recommendation, staff's recommendation is to put that on a separate pathway. Otherwise, because that was not, in any of this, that's a separate code section. Not saying it's a good or bad idea, just that it's not on this pathway, right? And then just to clarify, we're not providing notice to those property owners that are not affected by the rezone.
Correct.
So that's not the direction of council. Rather, given that the notice to some of the individual landowners, didn't come a certain. We're just wanting to give those people a little bit more opportunity to digest, receive the letter, and have the opportunity to talk to staff.
Let's do it in the paper one more time, so we can say that even if you weren't notified, you put it in the paper. Can we do that?
We've done the paper twice. We'll do it a third time. That we can do that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Comment?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you for reopening.
You're welcome.
Misha Zaid, Mayor, Council. I think that there was a statement just made that it would have no consequence to extend the decision, and I think that is false. I think that there's multiple business owners that were here last meeting that expressed that they had already been stretched very thin financially and in efforts by the inability to establish their business without this change. And I know that Rio's not here tonight, but I think he's the reason why there's been so much support at both these meetings. And I think if he were here, I can't speak for him, but I would assume he would be eager to get this decision made. So if this isn't affecting the property, if it is not changing, that's my understanding, could be mistaken, I don't think that should be a reason to postpone the businesses.
Right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm just going to respond to that, Misha, by saying that if we don't know that every person has been notified, then we can't, in good faithfulness, move forward on this and make a vote. When we're going to have it in 2 weeks, I mean, Rio, we all loved him, and it was a great meeting 2 weeks ago, but I think it's fair to say we're going to put this off for 2 weeks. Yeah, so.
Mayor, if I may, just to throw out an option, you do have 2 ordinances in front of you. It seems that the noticing seems to be related to property owners in the zoning map, but you have a separate ordinance to establish the mixed-use zoning district and waive the off-peak parking standards. And the gentleman is correct that we did hear from 2 or 3 different businesses that they're looking to take advantage of those. And I wonder, just to throw that out there, you do have 2 separate ordinances. You could take action on one ordinance tonight.
So is there anybody who would like to speak on the rezoning, the general plan rezoning for downtown? All right, to the council. We heard it last time regarding the rezoning downtown.
I'm generally in favor of it. I have still some, I have concerns still. I'm no fan of franchise businesses, but I am a fan of having some more economic activity in downtown Willits, and I think it's presumptive to, I mean, obviously, we have not had that restriction on franchise-type businesses being downtown up to this date, and there are none. So I don't know that we're putting an obstacle in place of something that, of a problem that doesn't seem to exist. And given the high level of vacancy downtown, I could see if we were 85%, 95% occupied, that maybe it's time to kind of put the brakes on something, but it's kind of
then if that's a motion,
counterintuitive. Yeah, I mean, I'd make the motion to remove that piece of it right now and see if it gets a second.
how about your motion would, because we have two different amendments, so would your motion be to go for the second one?
No, I'm addressing the issue of franchise businesses downtown, and
okay.
And if we want to move forward, so I thought we were now discussing the
downtown, yeah.
The downtown, and maybe Rod can clear up my comments.
I mean, Jim can correct me if I'm wrong, but the noticing issue is and who decided to come and talk about what is not relevant to the noticing issue. Just because people decided to come forward and talk about the land use rezoning doesn't mean that the other people got proper notification as well. Am I wrong in that, or are these distinct when they're combined?
No, it's the same noticing period.
Yeah.
So you're saying we shouldn't bifurcate it?
I'm saying they're not distinct in the noticing requirements nor in the consideration of whether or not proper notice has been given. It's not dependent on who comes forward to comment on
okay.
what.
So then that's suggesting we defer the whole thing till next meeting. I'm sensitive to the
Well, I'm sensitive too, so I'm going to go to Dusty and say, Dusty, these are two entirely different areas. We have the downtown zone and the rezoning. The downtown zone, I specifically asked last meeting, is there anybody who is opposed to this? And I'll ask the same thing tonight to the audience, is there anybody who's opposed to this? And I didn't get anybody who was opposed to it, to the rezoning downtown. Have you got any opposition to it?
No, the only letter we have was the one that was referenced. If your city attorney is giving you the advice that whether or not legal notice has been properly established for tonight's meeting, I'm not in a position to provide a differing opinion on that.
I think he said he didn't know.
I'm just saying that for an abundance of caution.
Correct.
In view of the fact that we've had reports of people not getting notice at all, then why not eliminate that concern by putting it over?
Well,
the reason why I would argue against that is because there's a difference between being abundantly cautioned for people's individual rights in homes as opposed to businesses. And I mean, people can argue they're the same, but in my mind, those are two different things. That we would go over and then backwards for a resident who is losing her rights. That makes sense to me. And if we're not sure, and from what I understand, you said earlier, you weren't sure yourself whether we actually met the legal standard or not. It's worth delaying for the homes, but when it comes to the businesses, there's been no conflict whatsoever. And I mean, unless we're going to assume that our staff is violating the law, I don't see why we can't move forward with that aspect of it. At least I would be in favor of it, but other people have their own opinions.
Well, I don't think it has to do with the substance of the ordinance. It has to do with the notification of the public process. So I understand that, like, it's just you're contradicting yourself in the action on one and no action on the other. So.
Is this Dusty, is this two amendments or one amendment?
You have two separate resolutions, well, three, one to certify the CEQA document, and then two separate resolutions, one for the zoning text amendments, which include the creation of the mixed-use zoning district, the off-street parking regulation revisions, and the formula-based business restriction, the creation of the nano brewery district. Then you have a separate resolution to adopt the new zoning map.
And you maintain that that the proper notification was given in both cases, correct?
That's my understanding, but I did not concur with the city attorney before stating that.
Thank you.
All right. So no matter how we do this, we're going to have to do it in two motions anyway, because we have two amendments.
Three
amendments.
It's in the, if you look at the agenda summary, it's spelled out for you as best
I'm
we
looking
could.
at it.
I would like to correct Dusty, there's two ordinances and one resolution.
Thank you, Dolores.
Okay, we're going to take this bit by bit. So I would like, is there any more public comment on any of the three of these? Tom, you've already had one, make it short. You can take Marie's. He's taking yours.
I'd like to see a little better description of the two items that we're
going to talk about them.
Yeah, that we're talking about. I mean, like, I'd like to understand what it entails. It seems like it's kind of going all like this to me.
All right, so Tom, well, we're not going to go through every bit of it because that's for the last 2 weeks, 4 weeks, we've been talking about it.
I know that, but I do know that there's the part about the downtown part.
Downtown part, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm really interested in making sure that's getting taken care of.
So, to the council. We have a resolution of the City Council of the City of Willits certifying compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act and adopting findings for approval and zone text amendment ordinance and to amend the zoning map to implement the 2024 General Plan Land Use Element Update. Who wants to discuss this?
Well, I mean, I think we have heard some concern from the city attorney that if we move forward on either one of these things, we may have a noticing problem, and it isn't resolved by people being here not speaking to the issue. It is just a timing issue.
Okay, so
and I would feel like we have to defer to that.
All three of them? All three you want to defer to the next meeting?
Unfortunately, I think so. I mean, I for one can say that I did not get the notification. If I'm deposed on this, I will have to say that my notification came in Thursday's mail.
Okay.
So I did not get the mail notice.
All right.
Tom, I'd like to go on record and say that I support both, obviously with the provisions protecting the property owners in place, but I don't want to screw it up by having some notice.
I get it. Okay. So then I'm going to make a decision to have all three of these, both amendments and the resolution, put on next council meeting's agenda.
Would it be cleaner to have two separate resolutions?
I would love to have three separate resolutions.
So Dolores did a good job of correcting me. You need a resolution to adopt the CEQA document. You don't need a resolution to adopt the two separate ordinances that have been prepared for you.
We're going to vote on the two ordinances and we're going to vote on the resolution.
Right? Correct. So we'll set it up the same that we have it for you tonight. And just we'll triple check that we have established proper public notice for the item and take that caution. That's appreciated. And the way it'll run is you'll have the opportunity to adopt a resolution certifying the environmental document, and then you'll get to vote on the ordinance to create the mixed-use zoning districts as well as the other zoning text amendments, and then you'll have the opportunity to make motion to adopt the new zoning map.
So if you came here for this item on September 24th, it's going to be continued. And we will not take offense if you want to leave. All right, moving on. Item number D as in David, repair and maintenance of the Langemann gate at the wastewater treatment plant, presenting member Walter, Services and Facilities Director. Go ahead.
We had talked about this one at the last meeting, and this is the bringing it forward for repairs and stuff. Councilman Bruce had brought up about the stuff that was being replaced. It's actually being rebuilt. It's being lifted up with a crane and totally rebuilt, the gate.
I went out and checked it out today.
Oh, you did? Good. Okay.
So if it continues to rain, how's that going to affect that?
We have certain release dates and everything. Right now, it's got a separate valve, but it's the backup valve that's holding it back. And it's the primary gate that holds the flows and stuff that go into the creek area and the marsh area there, yes.
There's not much water in that thing right now. Not much water in that.
Not right now, and stuff.
It's
It's going
pretty
to
much
be building up, yeah. It's controlled right now, yes.
All right, public comment on the repair and maintenance of the gate of the wastewater treatment plant. Is there any public comment? Hearing none, I'm closing public comment to the council.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify, sir, whether this is repair and maintenance, correct?
Yes.
This is not capital improvement.
It's under a capital improvement budget, yes. It's been in the capital improvement budget for 2 years.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
But this is just this is not replacing anything. We're repairing and maintaining.
We're replacing parts on it. It's coming out and stuff. Yes, it's a fair amount of parts are being rebuilt. It's being rebuilt.
Materials of worn facilities.
20 years old, yeah.
What was that again?
This is subject to the 36%
Correct.
contribution by Brook Trail.
Yes.
It's a repair or replacement of worn out machinery or facility.
Can I point out it's not, because we don't have an agreement?
Well, you're right, the agreement has expired, but based on the agreement that we've had up to this point in time, Brook Trails contributes 36% to repair or replace worn out machinery or facilities.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, making sure there's no public comment. Hearing none, to the council, is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept staff recommendations as this is a repair.
Okay. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
A motion and a second?
Councilmember Burton?
Aye.
Gonzalez?
Yes.
Stransky?
Yes.
Alaniz?
Aye.
Almond?
Aye. All right, thank you very much. So now we'll go to city council announcements, communications, and reports. Bruce?
Nothing to report. I'd still like to get Mr. Jetski's tune
Get it on the agenda.
on the agenda. If anybody else has competing theme for the city of Willits, I suggest you get it to me or other responsible people, because I kind of like that one, and I'm not sure that many towns other than Tony Bennett in San Francisco have a song commemorating their town.
So to the public and to the TV land, Richard Two Trees Jeske presented a potential Willits anthem to us 2 weeks ago. And if anybody out there has words and music and would like to contact the city on this, we're not going to put on next council agenda, but this is obviously a priority and it'll be covered before the end of the calendar year. Anything else, Bruce?
No,
Sherry?
I'm not sure that,
Got it, Bruce? I attended LAFCO on Monday. Just the topics of discussion, we swore in a new special district member, Adam Gaska. I believe he works for the Farm Bureau. Seemed like a nice guy.
He is.
And we did a sphere of influence and municipal service review. It's basically an expedited one on Hopland Utility District. And basically nothing changed for them, none of their area changed. So we have a streamlined process for that. And then we discussed our work plan. So
okay,
it was a short meeting.
Anything else?
Go ahead. Sorry. And I guess not really a meeting, but tomorrow's 9/11, and just wanted to kind of talk about that.
I have a meeting with the Waste Department at 9 o'clock tomorrow. Now 10 that.
Okay.
I don't have any city council announcements, but I have a couple of good and welfare when it's time.
Okay, so on the 23rd of September, so that's less than 2 weeks from today, I think it's 20, there's going to be a food truck meeting, another food truck meeting. And on the 17th of September at 3:30 is going to be a finance committee meeting in this room. 3:30. Did we change the time?
4.
No, the meeting is on the 18th. Thursday, that's the regularly scheduled day, is the 18th.
For some reason, my calendar said the 17th. I'm glad I brought that up.
Which day, Fridays?
Finance.
It's on a Wednesday, the 17th. We do it every other Wednesday.
My church on Wednesdays.
We can, but we haven't yet because I have to get permission to do that. I have paperwork out of doing that.
And on Wednesdays before.
Yeah, it's on the Wednesdays before. So we could do it Thursdays, but just figured it.
It was last on Wednesday, August 20th. So.
Okay, well, I can't do Thursdays.
So.
Sadly.
Does September 17th work in this room? Okay, September 17th at 3:30 is a finance committee. September 23rd is the food truck committee, but the food truck meeting's at 5 p.m. Please.
Tom, for clarification, is that a Measure K deal, or is it just finance?
Just finance committee.
Is it going to be discussing the budget?
Absolutely, we are.
That meeting is open to the public for those who would like to attend.
Yes. No communications or reports? Good and welfare, anything to you?
Yeah, I have a couple of good and welfare. First of all, starting on September the 18th, yours truly is starting a citizenship class for those residents, our neighbors who are interested in becoming naturalized citizens. In order to do that, they need to do a number of different activities, and one of the more difficult part is passing a civics test. So one of the things I do in real life is I teach social sciences, so I'm hosting some citizenship courses that'll last 6 weeks. It begins on September the 18th at 6 o'clock. It'll be at the school, at the local high school. If you are interested in learning more information, and maybe September 18th is too close, we're going to continue to have this continuing throughout the next couple of months. Maybe you can catch the next cycle around, but you can reach out, contact me about information about that, or reach out to the school district and Director of Student Services, Aurora Chavez. She can also help with that. On September the 20th, unless something has changed, I believe there's a community cleanup day. Is that still planned for September the 20th? So please, if you're interested in helping out the community and by cleaning up, please reach out to the city and we can help you volunteer for that. And then, of course, as our colleague, Mr. Gonzalez, mentioned, tomorrow is September the 11th, and there will be a brief American Legion ceremony held at 12 o'clock noon in the local city park here. So hope you all can join us. Thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Can I ask where that meeting is for the community?
For what? I'm sorry, for which one?
For the community cleanup.
For the cleanup. Yeah, that's not going to be a meeting. It's just going to be September 20th. Where should people meet? Should people contact you or?
Yeah, so that's the Community Development Department. Our city planner, Connor Stack, is organizing that. There's a flyer on Facebook if you want to follow the Willits Community Development Department on Facebook. I've never been on Facebook. I think you're supposed to follow. I don't know. Anyways, there's a little bit of information on there. My assumption is we'll probably be meeting at City Hall and then directing people to the designated cleanup sites. And I think it's like 8 or 9 in the morning till noon or a little bit after. So yeah, but if you just get a hold of our city planner, Connor Stack at the Community Development Department, or really just call the Community Development Department and we can fill you in on the details. And thank you for asking.
Thank you, sir.
Nothing else from council? This meeting is adjourned.